Idaho, America, and points beyond, into the cosmos even. Jim Hightower here with our Hightower Lowdown Happy Hour at the Chat and Chew Cafe. And we're connecting with you through Facebook Live, Free Speech TV, and also we're welcoming a bunch of the radio stations that carry my Hightower Lowdown radio commentaries, and we're connecting with you wherever you are, all across this country and, again, points beyond. And tonight, we've got a very special show because it's Mardi Gras time. Well, not quite. It's a week away from today, but we get the early jump on the parties. So indeed, we believe in putting the party back in politics. And that's what tonight's show is all about. And we could not do better than having my longtime friend, great musician, fantastic human being, Marcia Ball, who is renowned throughout the country for her music. And in fact, here we go. This is USA Today. This is the Boston Globe. This is the Washington Post. This is everybody who has ever heard her in a way, describing her as a saucy singer, where Texas stomp rock, Louisiana blues swamp meets, rollicking two-fisted New Orleans piano, smoldering Texas blues, Zydeco, and boogie woogie. All that in one human being. And there she is, Marcia Ball. Thank you, Marcia, for joining us today.
You're welcome. That's a lot. That's a lot of stuff.
It is a lot of stuff, but you've done a lot of stuff. And
for a long time, too.
For a long time. Marcia, one of her early, I don't know if it's earlier or not, fairly recent albums is called Presumed Innocent. I know Marcia Ball, and I don't know about that innocent thing. We need to fact check.
That was the most difficult record to name of all of them. That was hard one. And the only reason it's called that is because there was a song called "She's So Innocent."
Ah,
a really, really sweet song, and not about me.
and then you also did some music with a guy named Dave Alvin, and it's called Dave Allen and the Guilty Women. So you're innocent and you're guilty, all in one scoop there. This is fabulous. Well, as you can see, Marcia is a splashy, wonderful personality. And Mardi Gras time. That's it. We are here for Mardi Gras, and I've got to get in the spirit of it. Deanna is with us, Deanna Zant, and she will be tuning in your comments and your questions that you might have for Marcia Ball, myself, or whoever that might be tuned in here. So join the fun and participate. But I am going to have to I can't let Marcia just completely outshine me. So I've got to, here is my Mardi Gras moment. Here it comes.
Uh-oh.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Woo!
Somewhere in South Austin, Marcia, there's a lounge missing its disco ball. And I am wearing it.
And you are wearing it.
Do you know how hard it is to skin a disco ball? It takes special tools.
I have a whole outfit like that.
Okay, I bet you.
I know exactly.
Yeah, right. Okay, so Mardi Gras time. It's it. We got beads. Jennifer.
Yeah, here's the deal. It's called Carnival Time. And Carnival Time starts in January, on January 6th, actually, the Feast of the Epiphany, 12th night. And the parades start on January 6th, and they go until Ash Wednesday, till, in the day, late into the night of Fat Tuesday. So it's all carnival time, and you can do anything you want. Parade, decorate your house, your yard, your face, your car, your children, your dog. Especially your dog.
Well, and that's a very interesting thing. You can't. Here we are in the COVID period, COVID-19 and Trump 45. So we've had a year of dismal participation. And so now we're loose. We need Mardi Gras. to turn us loose and to reunite us. And it's a great thing about the spirit of the people of New Orleans, where Mardi Gras began. Of course, there are Mardi Gras now all over the country, right, Marcia? I guess all over the world.
Yeah, they do everywhere.
Maybe even Galveston, and here in Austin we have one.
Yeah.
But the biggie is right there in New Orleans. And okay, so they can't have the parades this year. So the cruise with the floats and just the drama and excitement, the tossing of the beads and the candies and etc. They can't have that. So they decorated their homes and their yards. They call it Yardi Gras.
Isn't that wonderful?
That is just spectacular. We've got some examples of it going out there. Isn't that just absolutely the spirit of the humankind?
Yeah. And I think that probably like virtual events and performances, I think that's going to live on. I think that we figured it out and how cool it is. And next year and in the future, there will be parades and there will be floats, but there will always be Yardi Gras.
Yardi Gras, I love it. it's what, and that's what we celebrate on this Facebook Live thing that we do. Our happy hour is the happiness of the people themselves. The powers that be are running roughshod over us, but the powers
has been incredibly, of course, it is incredibly creative. And it has been through this entire time, because music is such an integral part of it, like it is in Austin. People have figured out how to play. They're playing, in the park, out under the trees, and people are distancing. There's a pickup truck with a grand piano in it that travels around New Orleans, and players, the top of the line players, are playing that grand piano parking in a neighborhood and playing.
That is fantastic. That's what we want to celebrate here tonight. Is the political spirit of the people. That is not about committee meetings. It is not about speechifying, which I've done my share of, and it's not about even just a big conglomeration of issues. It is fundamentally about people, the people the powers that ought to be, the ordinary workaday people of our country, the dirt farmers, the small business people, the consumers, the environmentalists, et cetera.
School
teachers, the essential workers. Isn't it interesting, Marcia, that it's not even been a decade ago that Wall Street was celebrating itself as the essential force in the American economy and indeed in the full American society, that we are the essential ones, that we are the creators versus the takers. And now the takers are the ones that those so-called creators are rushing out to say, could you get me a ham sandwich somewhere, or could I get a shot, or could I get transportation across the town? What really matters in our society is society. The fact that we might all work together and be something bigger than just ourselves, and bigger than just than a few egos in politics and in the corporate world that think that they should run everything. So that is what we're celebrating here tonight. And Marcia Ball, she's from here in South Austin, Texas, where I am as well. We're just across the way from each other. And South Austin's kind of it's one reason I moved here, and I'm probably Marcia too, is that it's iconoclastic, to say the least. It is independent-minded. It is free-spirited. In fact, our unofficial slogan on the south side of Austin is "We're all here because we're not all there." So, and that makes for a good culture right there. And that culture is expressed by people like Marcia, but she picks up on the politics too. She and I had a great friend, Molly Ivins, died not that long ago, fabulous writer, political columnist and a raconteur, unsurpassed, and just a joy of a person to be around. And Marcia, you wrote a song based on what Molly Ivins stood for.
I did, and it's I try to sing it in Molly's voice. It's called Pots and Pans, and it's something that she said, and her assistant Betsy Moon said about politics, which is nothing's going to change until we get out in the streets and beat on pots and pans. And at one point, I actually did that in about 2011 or 12. My friend Sharon Mays and I talked about going to Washington and dressing up like suffragettes and protesting what was going on. And I said, why don't we just do it here? So we set up a deal called Seeing Red in the month of March that year. And we went to we went to the Capitol 3 weeks in a row. And with several hundred of our closest friends, people that we just put the word out, and beat on pots and pans in front of the Capitol and protested. They were defunding women's health care that year. That was their mission that year.
That particular year, they're always after something. Well, could you play us a little bit of that too?
I can play some of Pots and Pans. And it was great because I got all my girlfriends to come in, and all these people, Betsy did, and Shelley King and Carolyn Wonderland sang with me on it, and Becky Beaver, my friend, was there, and just a great bunch of people in there pounding on pots and pans, keeping time on this song. Oh, good golly, said Miss Molly, what's happening in this land? We seem to be goddamn set on destruction. Dishonesty and ignorance are working hand in hand. It's plain to see we can become accustomed and say that's the way the cookie crumbles. Come a day the mighty tumble. Nothing's gonna change this deep corruption till we're out in the street, beat, 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 banging on pots and pans for all the pain and loss that we have suffered. We're making some noise, letting them know we're not gonna let it go. We the people stand against injustice. We're at a crossroads, we're facing it down. A reckoning is coming around. It's not your country, it belongs to all of us. The bully politicians say everything's got to go their way, and when they're contradicted, then they wave their guns. But it's our vote and it's our choice. It's my body, it's my voice. It's not over till we see the wrong undone. And we're out in the streets, beat, 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 banging on pots and pans. The cost of hate and fear defy dimension. We're out in the street, banging on pots and pans. And that is how we'll get us some attention. We're out in the streets. We're out in the streets. We're out in the streets. We're out in the streets.
Miss Molly and
good golly, Miss
Marcia
Molly.
Ball together, fantastic. I want to go back to some of your influences and your own origins. You were born in Orange, Texas. L'Orange, as the French say. Orange, Texas, right at the foot of the, right there at Bridge City, going over the Sabine River into Louisiana. But then you were really raised in Louisiana. You traveled afar. You went, 10 miles or something?
Yeah, it's about 10 miles. The thing is, my people are from Louisiana, and I have dual citizenship, which has really worked out.
Oh, that does help.
I'm happy to say. But if you were born in the early 50s in Vinton, Louisiana, then you had to go to Orange to go to the hospital. Now, Gatemouth Brown was actually born in Vinton and raised in Orange. And
Wow.
I was born in Orange and raised in Vinton. But
That's a transference there that I'm trying to comprehend, but that's great. Well, I know about borders because I grew up in Denison, Texas, and that's right on the Red River.
yeah,
And we were the first line of defense against the Okies to keep them, from crossing over into the promised land here in Texas. So I know about that. But what were your influences growing up? I mean, musically. Let's start with your musical influences. What was it? Who was important to you that you listened to?
My grandmother played piano, and it's interesting because my grandsons are now in piano lessons, and it occurred to me that if somebody ever asks them, how did you start music, they're going to say, well, my grandmother played piano, just like I say my grandmother played piano, and my aunt played piano, and they both played well. My grandmother was a stride player, like like that. And my aunt played beautifully, cocktail music from the 40s and 50s. And so that was, and I'm old enough that the family after dinner on Sunday didn't gather around the football game on TV. We gathered around the piano. We sat in the living room and sweated, no doubt, because we were probably in an air-conditioned house, and somebody played piano. So that's how it started. But and we didn't have a lot of records in the house, but that part of the country always had live music because it was always dances. There was a Catholic hall across the street from the house I grew up in until I was 14, and they had Cajun dances once a month and rock and roll, dances, soul bands in the summertime every week. So we just had a lot of music like that. Vinton was where Joe Bonsall and the Orange Playboys, Joe lived in Vinton, and the Hackberry Ramblers, the oldest Cajun band that was still playing up until just a few years ago when the last of the guys passed away. Several of those guys were from Vinton. So we always had Cajun music too.
It's just country. It's country, but it's urban too.
And that's the thing. It would be like growing up in Acuff, Texas, or Turkey, Texas, and having Bob Willsby around the corner. Only we were listening to Cajun music and roots music and of that kind. So that was the first thing. And then I had family. My other grandmother lived in New Orleans. So we spent time there, and my aunt who lived there bought records and liked music. So that's how I first heard the New Orleans people. Of course, Fats Domino was on the radio. Little Richard was on the radio. The Big Bopper was on the radio in Beaumont.
Yeah.
So,
Little Richard.
Going on.
Yeah, I knew that Bill Clinton was going to be a middle of the road, incremental, unaggressive president when he said that his musical hero was Elvis, because my musical hero was Little Richard. He'd tear it up,
Yeah, he can rip it up.
Yes, indeed. And he did. So that's great. Deanna tells us that we've got some folks want to visit with us or comment. Tell us about it, Deanna.
Holy cow. The amazing, I don't even know where to begin, but the amount of love that people are sharing their favorite Marcia Ball stories, which is pretty amazing. Someone said that they saw you dragged on a stage by a certain harp player in Austin one time, and it was the best show of their life. So that's amazing. But also the fact that we've got people from all over. I'm sitting here, I'm looking at North Carolina. We've got Tucson, Arizona, Northwest Arkansas. Bring it home for Northwest Arkansas.
Yeah.
Got some friends and family out there. We got NOLA. We got East Texas, Oklahoma, Wisconsin, Massachusetts. We got a little bit of everybody tonight. But most importantly, before we get to politics and before we get to the state of the world, folks want to know what you're drinking, Hightower.
Well, very good question. And I have an answer to that. And it is Thirsty Goat. Thirsty Goat. And there's the goat right there. That is brewed right here in Austin, Texas, by the Thirsty Planet Brewery, an amber ale. It is quite good. And all across this great country, I'm a participant in the local beers and the brew pubs and that sort of thing. You know, Marcia, you obviously do music in bars and venues and et cetera like that.
Yes, I do.
That to me is one of the great social centers and one of the great political centers of our culture. That doesn't get celebrated. You know, the American Revolution, the great debates on the fundamental principles of our democracy didn't come out of stately halls. They came out of taverns, and
That's true.
and just regular people sitting around shooting the shit, so to speak.
Right.
And
What's the one
and
in
saying,
New York? What's the one in New York where George Washington rounded up his army? And then there's Tunn's Tavern in D.C., I think, where the Marine Corps was founded.
and Ben Franklin in Philadelphia, you know, the tavern there, where the Constitution was basically written. It was not written in Philadelphia Hall. It was written in the taverns around Philadelphia. And Thomas Jefferson near Monticello down there, a tavern right at the foot of the Monticello Drive there. But then also, you know, more recently, that's where the big revolutions have come, and particularly everything from Black Lives Matter today to the farm rebellion that I've been a part of over the years with Willie Nelson, for example.
An important part, right?
Totally, yeah, kind of essential, I would say.
And you know, music is. We talked about this a little bit before. You know, my friend Carolyn Wonderland says,
yes,
anytime a musician starts talking politics, somebody always says, "Shut up and sing." And she says, you know, it's really physically impossible to shut up and sing.
There you go.
So we don't.
Kind of basic.
And, you know, just like Pots and Pans, or maybe this other song I'm gonna sing. The music and musicians, starting with the old blues people and gospel music, it's always been about social change and social issues. And Woody Guthrie, of course, was one milestone along the way, and Bob Dylan carried us along the way. Pete Seeger carried us along the way. There's always a song, and that's what I like to do. Actually, I like to put a message in a song with a good beat. So, you know, you just dance along, and then all of a sudden you think, what'd she say? What was that?
Thinking about it. Well, you know, I actually knew Pete Seeger a little bit, and years ago, and he told me that he went to Chautauquas when he was a kid, and Chautauquas were these big camp meetings that had speeches and dramatic performances and lots of music, glee clubs and all kinds of stuff. And he said he went to Chautauquas for the music and the girls, and then he got to listening to the speeches. He said that framed his politics. That was what an adventurous political life he led, an important political life, and so many musicians and performers generally. And let's broaden it out a little bit, because there's another dimension that people might not know about you, Marcia, is that you're a pretty good cook. You rattle those pots and pans
I
in
do
the kitchen.
rattle those pots and pans. And my guitar player, Mike Shermer, always says, it's not hard to get a song to me. You just have to have a good beat and then have either food or party in the title, and I'll probably either finish writing it or I'll record it.
Yeah, fantastic.
For you, so.
Well,
I do. In fact, I'm going to cook. It's supposed to get kind of chilly here tomorrow, and I'm going to cook gumbo.
What time are we serving?
You can drive by, blow the horn.
All right, I'll drive by. Okay, get a whiff of it. Yeah, gumbo, hard to beat that. Well, but that's really what politics fundamentally is supposed to be, which is life, and just people getting along together, talking together, and trying to figure things out for the benefit of the common good. We've kind of gotten astray from that notion into the idea that, if we can just, if I can take care of myself, then screw everybody else. And that's got us. Yeah.
That's such a first of all, short-sighted, also selfish point of view. And, I read the other day that the 500 richest people in this country have made over $1 trillion in the pandemic year. Right. They could fund the whole package and still be as rich as they were a year ago. Yeah, exactly. And still be billionaires. Right. And yet, for some reason, we can't raise the minimum wage to even approach a living. And I don't even think $15 an hour is necessarily a living wage.
Depends on where you are, but certainly if you're in a big city, it's not near a living.
It's not wage. Anywhere. It's really not anywhere. And what's wrong with the world that we can't share like that?
Well, I think we just got to get in touch with the world again, because most people are on the side that we're all in this together, and that is not a corporate slogan to be put on a TV ad, all in this together, while the CEO, in the case of Kroger, for example, CEO making $20-something million a year. At the same time, he cuts off the hero bonus that was going to the frontline workers at Kroger's supermarkets.
Yeah.
That they started this bonus in March. They cut it off in May. So they have a press conference. Look, we're helping our workers. We're giving them $2 an hour extra, and then 2 or 3 months later, they take it away as the COVID surges. And those people are on the front lines. The head of Kroger supermarkets is not on the front line. He's not putting his butt out there and exposed.
We didn't mention them when we were talking about essential workers, grocery store workers. I mean, how much worse would it be if we couldn't get food? I mean, we're all talking about, we're not eating in restaurants so much. We're doing a lot of takeout, and, that's helping restaurants. And I agree that I approve of that. But the grocery store workers are working probably harder than ever to get food in and essential supplies into our homes. And they're also not considered essential.
Well, we got to get back to, my old daddy. You got to be where Texans telling daddy stories. But my old daddy was a pretty good daddy, and he came out of the Depression and ran with my mother a small business up in Denison, Texas, and he did not know that he had a political philosophy. It just it didn't occur to him to have such a thing, but he did. And he expressed it to me periodically in these words. He said, Jim, everybody does better when everybody does better. And that's what's missing in our politics today. And that's what we have to bring back. And the people believe in that overwhelmingly. All the people, the diversity of this great nation believes in that. And that's the basis for a real politics, not right to left. That's political theory, but top to bottom. That's reality.
We had that, and it began to erode in the 80s. It began to erode with Reagan's trickle down, and which never worked. And,
well, it
gradually trickled down.
It went to tinkle down by the Koch brothers. The attitude that the rich were smarter than all the rest of us, but they're the ones now scrambling to say, well, wait a minute, what about food, and what about the future?
What about heart? What about soul? What about kindness? What about what about integrity? Where these words that you hardly ever hear anymore, except now that you'll hear them more because Biden is empathetic and soulful and full of heart and is going to try so hard to help people.
We have to help him help us. We have to push him harder than he can believe that he can be pushed. I agree with you. I think there's a spirit within him that is better than we've had in a while. He is, for example, I'm not a big Biden guy, but I believe that he is persuadable, and we go back to the New Deal and Franklin Roosevelt, and we're in another of those crises. The fundamental of whether democracy itself is going to survive. And Roosevelt did not campaign on the New Deal. He was not a New Dealer. He was a centrist Democrat who was not going to be Herbert Hoover. That's basically how he got elected. But then Sidney Hillman, I believe the Clothing Workers Union, other union people, the farm rebellion that was taking place at the time, people like Eleanor Roosevelt and Francis Perkins in the Labor Department, they were pushing him. And there's a famous moment where I think it might have been Sidney Hillman was in Roosevelt's office at the opening of his presidency and arguing, you got to do this, you got to do this, you got to do this. And Roosevelt finally said, wait a minute, said, stop. I agree with you. Now make me do it. And that meant go to the people and get the people organized to push the Congress to make it happen. And that's where we are today. I think, and a way to do that is not just by holding rallies or running political candidates, but expressing ourselves culturally, and that's why we're having Marcia Ball on our Facebook Live show this evening. We're gonna let me just take one pause here to say something important, and that is about the fact that that the Hightower Lowdown every week puts out a free email, a weekly email. Did I say free? Yes, free. It doesn't cost you any money, no money. No money need be sent. No permission need be granted by anybody. You can get this free email by simply going to hightowerlowdown.org. And each week we send you information about that you're not hearing in the mainstream news about people like Marcia Ball, people like Inse Ufad, whom we had on our program a couple of weeks ago, who led the Georgia Voters Project, doing door-to-door organizing, tremendous work. People you don't hear about on a regular basis that are making change in our country and uniting us into this notion that we are indeed all in this together. So I would just urge you, if you are interested, sign up for the Hightower Lowdown. The free weekly email comes right to your email, and you get that by going to hightowerlowdown.org. I think we've got some more comments coming our way, Marcia. We've sparked some interest out there. Deanna, do we have somebody to comment about?
Holy cow, there's so much going on tonight. This is like...
There was holy cow again. Two holy cows.
You got two holy cows.
Amazing.
Listen, I'm from Central New York, and I've had a glass of wine, so this is when we start getting back to my accent and my people. Anyway, a couple of things that are going on. More folks from and you all know if you've watched the show before that I really love this, is that we get people from every part of the country, that we don't just talk to the coasts and the big cities, although we love coasts and big cities. I'm in both. We get people from all over. So we've got Nebraska representing tonight. I saw some South Dakota up in here. Love that. Got some Ohio up in here. Right along with Massachusetts and California. All right. One of the questions that came up tonight is, Illinois and Colorado, where Free Speech TV also are.
Indeed.
Our friends broadcasting tonight. So one of the other questions was, how do y'all feel about the NRA moving to Texas? But more importantly than that, folks, I think, want to hear another song from Marcia, if you're up for it. And people are just
shut up and sing.
No, people are so energized and just, you'll have to look later, but in the comments on Facebook, folks are sharing their favorite Marcia Ball stories, about their favorite shows, about seeing you at every juncture in their life. And so I'm a fan, so I would love another Marcia song if you want to do that before the NRA.
Well, I've got a Marcia Ball story that I want to tell, but we're going to do that after Marcia Ball sings another song for us. What would be your choice, Marcia?
Okay, well, I'm going to sing another song that's subversively political. It's called Shine Bright, and it's the title song to my most recent record, which is not exactly recent. And my outfit would put you to shame, Jim Hightower. You would look dull compared to my sparkly
Really?
jacket.
Is that
darling,
possible?
Not only that, we covered an entire piano with aluminum foil for the photo shoot.
You have no shame.
No. As we go around the sun, holding on when the corners come, putting ourselves out on the line, never heed the warning sign. Walk into the world ahead, learn everything that's ever been said, see everything that you can find. Open up your mind, shine bright. Go on and take somebody with you, shine bright. That's how you really live, you shine bright. It's a gift you're giving when you feel the spirit. Step into the light, shine bright. Oh, yeah. Choose your heroes, choose them well. Listen to the stories they tell. Feel the planet go round and round. Moon and stars are coming unwound. Love your neighbor, teach your child. Tighten up the ties that bind. Be here now, 'cause now's the time. Open up your eyes, shine bright. Be who you want to be, shine bright. For all the world to see, shine bright. We're making history. Every time we breathe, we're trying to do it right. My guitar solo. Carry a burden for a friend. Be a pal to the bitter end. Life is work and work is good. God is love and love is truth. Art is music, music is art. Life's a story, play a part. Doesn't matter who you are. Open up your heart and shine bright. Like the Reverend Martin Luther King, shine bright. First man on the moon, Neil Armstrong, shine bright. Number 42, Jackie Robinson, shine bright. That merry prankster, Ken Kesey, shine bright. Soul Queen of New Orleans, Irma Thomas, shine bright. Texas Governor Ann Richards, shine bright. Rockin' piano man, Little Richard, shine bright. The amazing Stephen Hawking, shine bright. Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, shine bright. Woo! Sister Rosa Parks, y'all. When you feel the spirit, step into the light, shine bright.
Fantastic. fantastic. Oh, God. I hope y'all appreciated my background vocals on that. Fantastic. I mean, that is exactly, it's a spiritual. A spiritual for America, for what we're supposed to be, people who are striving against great odds and not always getting ahead, but making steady progress, incremental progress toward economic fairness and social justice and equal opportunity for all people. That's fundamentally.
We just need to keep pushing in the right direction and be counter to it. Be contrarian.
Yes, totally.
On that same record, Kimmy Rhodes and I wrote a song called "World Full of Love." That is, especially when we wrote it, not about what was going on, but about what we wanted to see happen.
Play a little. Can you do just a little bit of that?
Oh, let me think about that.
I know. I hate to put you on the spot there, but
when times are hard, oh my gosh, maybe not. And we're so far apart and lost in confusion, we can take this to heart. When we all come together, we can make a new start. So much bigger than us, this world full of love. No matter who's right, no matter who's wrong, we can still rise up and carry on. This beautiful life is reason enough. Our precious gift, this world full of love.
Fabulous.
Like
That is the message of the night right there. I don't think we're going to get any better than that, no matter how many beers I drink.
So, how many old goats you down?
That old goats that we can enjoy. Marcia Ball, you are a joy.
Thank you so much.
It's just been a privilege over the years to be contrarian with you and to try to kick over the table and make trouble. But as Representative John Lewis, the great civil rights icon, put it, good trouble, necessary trouble.
Yes.
That we have to have. If we're going to have the kind of country we want, we're going to have the kind of society that we want. And the society and the country that I want has Marcia Ball right in the center of it. Thank you so much for being with us and spending time. Fabulous. All right. Let's stay in touch, okay?
Oh, yeah.
All right. Okay. Marcia Ball. And we've got the information on how to stay in touch with her too, and her music, and not just tune in, but connect with the work that she is doing.
Good. Yeah, because we didn't even talk about the nonprofits. So.
Yeah, which is groups like HAM.
HAM and Home.
HAM and Home, and HAM is the Health Alliance for Austin Musicians. Yeah, and I mean this is the kind of home. Yes, go ahead.
And HOME is housing opportunities for musicians and entertainers.
Right.
Health Alliance helps people get health care. HOME pays rent.
And I suppose that's, and I'm assuming that's home.org or home.
It is. It's homeaustin.org.
And ham.
My Ham.
My Ham.
HAAM.
My Ham.
My Ham.
So clever. See, I love that. All right. So this is the kind of connection that we can have as a people. If it's not just about partisan yammering and right-wing nonsense. Very important verse in your previous song, Marcia, was be careful of the heroes you choose.
Yeah.
That we have to have heroes that are Rosa Parks, that are folks who broaden our possibility as humans to come together. Well, enough of my blathering on. We're going to be back with you in a couple of weeks, but we're going to have Marcia Ball back as often as we possibly can. Thanks again, Marcia.
Thank you so much, Jim. This was great.
Thanks to all of you for tuning in. We'll see you again in a couple of weeks.